Good evening, my Real News Media TV family. Welcome back to the channel for another news update for April 2, 2024. And in the news this evening, pistol seized in Industry St. James. The Adelphi police seized a Taurus pistol during an operation in Industry St. James on Tuesday. The police say about 9:51 a.m. they were on operation in the area when they saw three men on a motorcycle. On scene, the police at the pillions alighted and ran into bushes, while the rider turned and rode off in the opposite direction. The area was searched and the firearm found along the roadside. No arrest was made in connection with the find. Eyewitnesses describe horror of fatal Portland car crash. A 6-year-old boy and his father are dead following a two-vehicle collision in Fair Hill, Portland on Monday night. The deceased have been identified as a Jaden Woolery and a 53-year-old David Woolery. Both died at the scene of the crash, which occurred sometime after 10 o'clock. Mr. Woolery's 3-year-old daughter was also injured in the crash and remains in hospital. It is reported that Mr. Woolery was driving a gray Suzuki Swift with the two children as passengers on the Ferry Hill Main Road. Both he and the driver of a red Toyota Corolla left a bar and were heading to a cook shop 10 minutes away. The driver of the Corolla attempted to overtake the Suzuki Swift, but his vehicle hit the back of it, resulting in it overturning and slamming into a building. The building, which is a house and a shop, was extensively damaged. The driver of the Corolla sustained minor injuries. Marie, a resident who lives along the roadway, said she had to run from her house out of fear that the vehicles would crash into it.
So I was just doing my prayers when I heard the speed of the vehicles coming. So then I heard this word commotion, boom, and then, I realized they were coming down into the yard. So I fly up off the bed and run, and I look up in the dresser, broke up the glass plate. I was trying to just get away because I thought the vehicles were coming into the house. So then I realized the head came in. I called out to my mother to see if she was okay. I heard she answer. So I came out to the door and opened the door to see if Javon was okay. When I opened the door, it was pure smoke. I saw the car in the yard, so I ran out. Well, to be honest, I tell you, it's like, yes, it is done for the better, for the motorists and, pedestrian everyone, but I tell you, the motorists and now, take them time at all, because, last night, while we were up there, vehicles still come speeding the same way. We actually had to throw off the blocks that they use to make the curb and channel in the road, just for them to slow down, because despite this, the police vehicle then still a shot past the same way.
Police probing fatal shooting in Bog Walk. Investigators from the St. Catherine North Police Division have launched a probe into the fatal shooting of a laborer in Bog Walk, St. Catherine on Monday. He has been identified as 47-year-old Marco Walker from Burton District in the parish. It is reported that about 10 p.m., residents heard explosions near Walker's home in the community. Checks made about 9:30 the next morning revealed that the door to the house was kicked in. Walker was found lying on his bed, still wrapped in sheets, with blood coming from wounds to the head and upper body. The police were called and the scene processed and the body removed for storage. Bus driver accused of sexual assault granted bail. A St. Catherine bus driver who was accused of sexually assaulting a 15-year-old was granted bail when he appeared in the St. Catherine Parish Court on Tuesday. The 35-year-old was granted bail in the sum of $500,000 following being brought to court on accusations of having sexual intercourse with a minor. His conditions are that he must not be driving any public passenger vehicle and that he should keep away from the complainant. Your duty is to disappear if you see her, Judge Desiree Alain said. It is reported that in late March this year, he picked up the complainant. While proceeding to his destination, he allegedly diverted and sexually assaulted the complainant. The matter was reported to the police and the Center for Investigation of Sexual Offenses and Child Abuse. An investigation was launched, which resulted in the arrest and the charge of the accused. He is scheduled to reappear in court on June 4. JTA head calls for review of how funds are disbursed to schools. President of the Jamaica Teachers Association, Leighton Johnson, is calling on the Education Ministry to review how funds are disbursed to schools across the island. Johnson, who was speaking at the JTA's education conference at the Ocean Coral Spring in Trelawney on Tuesday morning, highlighted a need for equitable solutions in Jamaica's education sector. I urge the Ministry of Education to review its funding arrangements for our schools and ensure that allocations made to schools are done equitably. It is no secret some schools need more resources than others based on the levels of the students enrolled and the programs required to make those students functional, Johnson said. Speaking under the theme Full Steam Ahead, Advancing Digital and Future Skills, Johnson further stated that there is a need to access stable internet connection to advance learning in schools. This, he pointed out, must also target early childhood institutions. Urgent attention must be given to those institutions that still do not have consistent and stable internet connectivity, as well as our early childhood and primary schools that need assistance in establishing a constant and reliable network across their compounds, said Johnson. The JTA president said that these improvements will not only provide a better learning experience, but will ensure that all students are provided with the tools they need to succeed academically. We must ensure that all students, regardless of background or circumstance, have access to high-quality learning experiences that empower them to reach their full potential. By harnessing the power of technology and innovation, we can bridge gaps, break down barriers, and unlock opportunities for learners of all ages and abilities, Johnson charged. Hopewell High Bursar murder probe widens. Police have widened their probe into the December 2023 murder of Hopewell High's bursar, Jermaine Roberts, who was killed on the school's compound. They are just looking at other aspects that they can tie to, not necessarily the victim, but the shooter involved, in terms of forensic and linking the crime scene to other crime scenes, head of the Area 1 Police Division, Assistant Commissioner of Police Clifford Chambers, told the news when asked for an update last week. We are awaiting verification of some things, but no one has been charged. There is really nothing much that can be said at this time, just to say that investigations are still taking place, he added. On December 20, Roberts, 35, was shot by a gunman as he was about to drive off the school's compound. The principal of the institution, Byron Grant, who was on the outside of the facility at the time of the incident, reportedly smashed into a glass door and sustained injuries as he tried to escape. He was taken to a medical institution for treatment. However, the police took Grant into custody hours after the incident. He was released from custody 2 days later. In a December 27 interview with the News, head of the police corporate communications unit, Senior Superintendent Stephanie Lindsay, said Grant remains a person of interest. Also in that month, the police in a release said that preliminary inquiries had suggested that the shooting may have stemmed from interpersonal conflict. No new info in Gabriel King case, says a cop. More than 2 years after the shocking murder of autistic 9-year-old Gabriel King, the investigation drags on as cops comb through his mother's phone. According to head of the Area 1 Police Division, Assistant Commissioner of Police Clifford Chambers, the police are still scrutinizing the iPhone Amoy Leon Issa had at the time of Gabriel's death. Analysis is still being done on the phone, Chambers told the News last week when contacted for an update on the King case. In November 2023, the Supreme Court ordered Leon Issa to hand over her phone's passkey to investigators probing the case. The ruling followed months of legal wrangling between her attorneys and the police over access to the device. Leon Issa had contended that her right to privacy was being breached. On January 13, 2022, it was reported that young Gabriel had been kidnapped along the Tuckerman Road in Montego Bay, St. James. The child was later found dead in his mother's vehicle, which was abandoned off the Fairfield main road in the parish. At the time, Leon Issa told investigators that armed men had hijacked her vehicle as she navigated a pothole along the road and sped off with her child. News of the vulnerable young boy's death sent shockwaves throughout the country, and in the years since his murder, there have been concerns about the pace of the investigation.